And that is all she wrote. The Oklahoma Sooners and Emmett Jones have surprisingly closed on a wide receiver prospect that really we hadn't been talking about since last year because Oklahoma really was not in the mix. But because of certain people that were on campus and Emmett Jones just being that dude, Oklahoma got themselves an opportunity to land a 4-star wide receiver out of the state of California that don't let people fool you. USC, the University of Texas, they wanted this kid. Hey, UCLA, they were considered maybe even the front runner. Before we dive into it, guys, I want to hear from y'all. So join the discussion, jump in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. But Marcus Harris committing to the University of Oklahoma, it's a big deal. So you got to jump in. Who's that final wide receiver that is a part of Emmett Jones' class? Or I think we presume it's only going to be one more wide receiver in this class, but Oklahoma is still chasing a 5-star wide receiver in Caleb Cunningham that if he comes to Oklahoma for an official visit, I think you give Oklahoma a pretty decent shot. But Oklahoma landed the 4-star wide receiver Marcus Harris, and this was a big one. He is out of Mater Dei in California, and if you're familiar with Mater Dei, you know the story. That is a USC school. USC traditionally recruits very well out of there. Listed on 247 is 6'1.5", 185 pounds. This dude had 31 offers, and when we take a look at his offer sheet, he had all of the big ones, all of the ones that you look for a wide receiver. Alabama, Florida, Georgia. He had Ole Miss. He had Oregon. He had Tennessee. He had Texas A&M, right? Washington, which would have been probably the Kalen DeBoer staff, but you catch my drift. He had them all. This was a guy that UCLA was led to be the front runner for, and he had a Texas visit currently scheduled for June 21st. I would imagine that's probably not happening at this point, especially with BV's no visit policy. But he had taken an official visit to Georgia on May 18th. He'd been to UCLA on June 1st, been to Tennessee on June 7th. But this visit for Oklahoma, we were all standing around at the Brent Venables Elite Camp, and we kind of saw Emmett Jones tweet, and then everybody was kind of like, well, what's going on? There was this rumor that a visitor was coming on campus, one that Oklahoma hadn't been necessarily in the running for. And then it came out. Marcus Harris tweeted out, I'm taking an OV here. And he got an opportunity to be around Emmett Jones, be around Seth Littrell, be around this staff. And you know, as you see in his film that we're going to show you here, he's an elite wide receiver prospect in the slot. Like, he is a guy that we were potentially looking at Andrew Marsh to fill this hole. But I think the problem was with Andrew Marsh is, like, some people felt good about it, and then some people didn't. It really depended on the day. You had USC and Texas in the running for Andrew Marsh. So I would expect now with Marcus Harris jumping on board, we're not going to see Andrew Marsh jump on board. Your likely prospects would be like Caleb Cunningham, Emmanuel Choice, Cortez Mills, somebody like that to take that final spot. But don't get me wrong, Marcus Harris, he's got that speed, and he's got that ability to be a weapon for whoever the next quarterback is post Jackson Arnold, which I think could be Michael Hawkins. It could be Jaden O'Neal. We're just going to have to see, because I think Jaden O'Neal is going to be a part of this class. But that's a video for another day. So how did the Marcus Harris thing come together? I mean, at the end of the day, guys, Emmett Jones is just a closer. This is what he does. And you know, I think after seeing what he just did here, you can't count Emmett Jones out of any recruitment. And if Emmett Jones gets in a recruitment, you have to bet your bottom dollar that Oklahoma is always going to have a shot, or wherever Emmett Jones is, he's always going to have a shot. Because Jay over at Unfair Sports and I were talking about it, and the likelihood that Emmett Jones is here in the next 5 years at Oklahoma is probably unlikely. Like, Emmett Jones is going to probably get an OC job somewhere. And then if he performs well there, he's probably going to get a head coaching job. Like, Emmett Jones is just a great recruiter, and he's a great wide receivers coach. Now, not saying he's Brian Hartline, but one day he might be able to give Brian Hartline a run for his money. So looking at the class for Oklahoma, This now keeps Oklahoma in the top 10 at number 10. And you might be saying, well, what happened? Well, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, USC, A&M, Rutgers. You heard me right. Rutgers. They've all gotten commitments, and they've gotten several of them. I mean, Rutgers had a huge weekend a couple weeks ago. So Oklahoma, number 10, still top 10. It gives them a composite score of 233.17. But the returns on the official visit weekend that Oklahoma had Marcus Harris for, they were high. So I don't think this is going to be the only commitment from this official visit weekend that Sooner Nation is going to see. We're going to make a separate video talking about that because you had Mekhi Williams-Lee on campus. You had Elijah Melendez, Mark Ehenekor. You had Michael Fasusi. You were supposed to have Ty Haywood on campus, but Ty Haywood supposedly did not make it. Supposedly, there were still some people reporting that he was going to be on campus, but I was told he wasn't. And then you also had guys like Cortez Mills on campus and other guys like that. So OU had a plethora of official visits. You could still see some good news out of there, but I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what Sooner Nation has to think. So jump in the comments below and give me your guys' thoughts here on Marcus Harris committing to the University of Oklahoma. If you have made it this far and you have not already, make sure you guys hit that like, you guys hit that subscribe button.